You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Pekka's there on the backhand, scoring the save, rebound in the crease, they score!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney. In this episode number 27 of Season 2 of the Shake, Rattle, and Goal podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing in Amherst and in downtown Springfield, by our friends at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam, and by the fine folks at Landscaping that Fitz. Hit them up for all of your spring, summer, and fall needs. Alongside Matt Baker, I am Steve Forney. What's up, Matt? How are you, bud?
Doing well. How about you guys?
We are excellent. We're wonderful. No complaints.
How's the new kitchen?
The usual. New kitchen came out nice. Awesome. Shout out to my buddies at LD's Unlimited. They don't get a sponsor, but they're awesome. Whole kitchen remodel in 3 weeks, which is unheard of. So yeah, they crushed it, and it's nice. So we're happy.
Very good. Very good.
And
hey, we're in the playoffs.
Playoff bound, Matt.
That's
playoff
it.
Bound.
Yep.
I had a fan rant that I really wanted to get to at some point. Maybe we'll later. What do you think the plan here is for the next, whatever it is, the remaining 4, 5, 6 games?
I know what fan rant you're talking about. I think this team is in an interesting spot. And as far as like how they will play it, there are so many top injuries that this team has endured throughout the season. I can't think of, I truly I don't want to be dramatic about it. I don't want to be overstating it. I can't think of, clearly never team I've followed as closely as this one, right? Because I don't follow teams as closely as this one, but I can't think of even any other sport of a team that I've followed or paid even a little bit of attention to that has had to endure a season long worth of injuries, going back to game 3 with Zach Dean out, Nicky out for months. McEachran has been out. Luff is out. McGing has been out. In the back line, you had Harrington out early. You had Buchinger out recently. Like, it just had, and you're not just talking about guys that were expected to have significant roles missing significant time. So normally I don't think it's necessarily wise to take it easy and fall into bad habits. I don't like that. The Thunderbirds have 4 games left. I think they need to play 4 games. I don't necessarily think I think if anybody you wanted to give a night off to, McGing or Pekka, because they have seemed to be in a groove this year. I'm not worried about them turning it on or off. I'll be honest, Nicky was the catalyst to that good run we had in January and February. Without Nikita Alexandrov, that doesn't happen. So I'm not trying to downplay his importance, but he's been quiet as of late, right? So, I think he needs to play. It's a young team. They need to play. Kalen Addison, who we're going to talk about, had a big weekend. He needs to play. He needs to get used to this team. He needs to figure it out. So, I tend to think you need to work and grind. You've been in playoff mode to get into the playoffs. You've had to play that kind of hockey. We got to win the next one. And I think for this team, I think you don't have to rush McEachran back. You don't have to rush Luff back if either of them are coming back. They're both listed day to day. I don't know what that means in the hockey world, but you don't have to rush those guys back. You don't have to rush Peterson back. I don't know if Dean even comes back. And the way the Blues are playing, I don't think I'm not expecting Bull Duke to come down because I think the Blues are playing lights out. and they've
got
got
Dvorsky.
I think Dvorsky will be back for Friday. I think I read some quotes from Monty when they sent him back down, and it was basically, look, he's 19. He's got to play games. He's not good enough. He isn't, there's nothing bad. He's 19. He's got to play games.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be back. I don't think he's kept up to watch playoff hockey from the stands. I think, hey, maybe this is an opportunity. You clinch the playoffs. Let him practice with us. I expect him to be back and playing for us in the playoffs. Just based off of Monty's comments. He's 19. He's got to play games.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think a lot of it depends too on Holloway. Dylan Holloway is the latest to get injured for St. Louis. And, what's his outlook? What's his time frame? It's interesting, like, contract aside, because I know that was a big part of it. Would the Blues be better off right now with Brandon Saad? We went through that whole Brandon Saad thing and just the extra, just at the body, just having the extra body around. I'm with you. I think the injuries are 4 games, stay healthy. Like that's all I want them to do is stay healthy. I wouldn't play Mac. I wouldn't play Luff. I wouldn't play any of these guys that are hurt until maybe the last game against Charlotte. Charlotte's already in the playoffs. You end the season 2 games at home against them.
Yep.
They're going to pack it in because they don't want anybody getting hurt towards the end of the year. So keep your goalies healthy, keep the goalies sharp. And yeah, I think it's going to be that bottom half of the roster that's really needs to get as much action in as possible. I mean, off the top, the guy I thought who had the best weekend for Springfield was Taryn Fizer. The kid was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Though I want to see Taryn Fizer playing first line minutes at some point in the next 4 games. Just put him, see what happens, because his energy and his and he's a smaller guy, but he's really good. He reminds me of like John Marsh or so. Like he's just a small guy who can get into little pockets of the ice that you don't really see coming, and boom, he's there. So those are the guys. Like I don't need Cale Kessie playing like 20 minutes a night. I want your Tanner Dickinsons, who I think's starting to play really well. Like those are the guys that I really want to see more of. Me being the typical stalker that I am, overanalyzing everything. The team released their team picture.
I saw that,
and they're all, on the ice in their jerseys. Mac was there with no arm in a sling, no nothing. I mean, could he have had a massive cast on his leg and I wouldn't know the difference? Sure, he could have. It did look to me like Matt Luff had a bit of a black eye, a little bit of a bruiser there. So
still looked a little swollen above his eye.
So I definitely lean towards concussion on that. And I still kind of stand with what I said. I don't know if we'll see him again this year. We'll see.
You don't think he'd come back for playoffs?
Concussions are like the one thing that you just can't. I mean, you have a broken finger and they say it's 4 weeks. It's like, okay, I have 4 weeks. Or you tear your ACL, it's 3 months. You're like, okay, 3 months. A concussion, it could be 24 hours. It could be 24 days. So
I agree with you on that. There's never a timetable with concussions. It clearly was a head injury. He's day to day. I don't know. I would never fault any player. That's an injury you don't want to rush coming back from. So you 100% err on the side of caution. I'm guessing though, if I had to bet on it, and I'm with all assumptions of he's feeling better and he's regained that sort of baseline. I don't believe the NHL or AHL have stricter protocol than like the NFL now, when it comes to concussions and head injuries. But I wouldn't be surprised you clinched. There is no reason to rush him back because it's the second concussion that makes it worse, right? It's one more little jog to the head, a puck to the head, a hit against the boards. That is the damage, right? If you have not completely recovered from the first one. So you absolutely need to give that time and heal. And I think you bring up a good point, and I'm not necessarily for resting, quote unquote, resting guys, because I don't think the way this team has played up and down, hot and cold. I wouldn't want to see them fall into bad habits where they're playing now bad hockey going into the playoff. I think they need to be playing as close to full strength hockey as possible, but maybe flip the minutes. And there's no reason why, hey, give Pekka and McGing specialty minutes, but give them third line minutes in the rotation kind of thing. And I would love that. I agree with you. Taryn Fizer played phenomenal this weekend. Let him and Dickinson, Andonovsky, let those guys play more top line minutes, give them 20 ice minutes, and let them see what they can do. Because now if you do have those guys, if they can get hot and now they're filling your third and fourth line with hot, skilled players, that's dangerous as well. So that good points you bring up.
And I know Corey Andonovsky missed some time this weekend, but he's not listed on the injury report. So, I want as much Andonovsky, Stenberg, Fizer, Stunsel, Koskamaki. I want those guys on power plays. I want them killing penalties. I want them getting as much time in as they can. Because I know it's, you can just flip a switch. Well, with some of these guys, you play that long.
Yeah.
And you're a Pekka or you're an Alexandrov, you can play 8 minutes a night for 4 games and jump right into playoff hockey and flip a switch. Absolutely. I think that they're capable of that. So, so we'll see. It'll be an interesting way to sort of see it come down the home stretch here. We can get into some of the games over the weekend just to recap. We don't spend too much time on them, but certainly some good action. I thought that mostly the games. I only have notes here for Lehigh Valley and Rochester on Wednesday. I thought all the games had this real playoff feel. They had a real playoff vibe. They even like a 0-0 game to me was so exciting. Like I thoroughly enjoyed watching that game where they won 1-0 in overtime just because of how it was. But even versus Rochester, great pace, playoff feel, good officiating, nothing really called but the obvious. In the third period, Pekka turns it over in his own end, fights to win it back, chips to himself to clear the zone, and then makes a play to set up in the O zone. Absolute complete player. Well, whatever, that sucks. We lost, but that game was entertaining as hell, and the roster as mashed up as it could hang with another playoff team. So think about that too, guys. Like this roster is as bad as banged up as it is, and you just hung with Rochester. You beat Lehigh Valley. Like you're there with playoff teams without all these guys that we're mentioning. Like that's pretty good.
Agreed. You have a 4-2 loss against Rochester. Rochester is number 2. Actually, let me pull it up real quick. I think they're the third best team in the conference. Yeah, they're the third best team in the conference. Excuse me, with 89 points. Laval with 93, Hershey with 91. So you, in your quote unquote banged up roster, which it is, you're out Luff, you're out Peterson, you're out Mack. You're hanging in Rochester in a 4-2 game on a Wednesday night. In Utica, it was 5-2 loss, but 2 empty netters. And let's also not forget, I think it was the Utica game where that third goal for Utica, you're 2-2 tie heading late into the third period, and just a fluky, uncharacteristic goal past Ellis where he has it and it kind of trickles down his armpit. Just lands in the goal. Like, it's hockey. It's a loss. This isn't an excuse being made. It's just as fact you have a banged up roster and you're hanging with Utica, who's not a playoff team, but playing great hockey right now and just beat the Providence Bruins, I think 6-3 or something like that. And they're playing really good hockey.
The player of the week in Max Willman from Utica. So
yeah. And then you go into Lehigh Valley playoff team and Zarenko and Gahagan. Like, let's give the guy credit too, the goaltender for Lehigh Valley. They both played phenomenal. That was a great playoff level hockey game, and you get the 1-0 victory. I do think, and I've said this before, and I believe it, hockey more than anything can rely on sort of that goalie, that one player where, hey, if not everybody's feeling it, a hot goaltender, you can win a 1-0 game. You got a few injuries, a hot goaltender can win a 1-0 game. And I think we all feel confident about Ellis. you got to feel just as confident about Z. I get it, but like when he's on, he started the year as their quote unquote 1A goalie. He is that good. There's no reason for me to think he's not up for the task. He's played playoff hockey before. He's been around it, and I expect 2 solid goaltenders. This team will be in every game, and that's what you want, playoff hockey.
So we'll put you on the spot then, Matt. 3-game series against anybody, doesn't matter. You're going to probably start on the road. Who games 1, 2, and 3, who's your starting goalie?
I think you go Ellis. Depending on the outcome of that one, you go, let's say you go, I'll go Ellis, Z Ellis. That's what I'll do, and I think though, in like baseball, you have a short hook. If you go down 2-0 early, you bring in Ellis early, or vice versa. You go down 2-0, you bring in Z if you need to. But I think Ellis gets the nod game 1 without a doubt.
So, I mean, I'm curious
play
as to
Z
how
at home.
See, I was thinking you play Z on the road because I think he has no problem. I mean, he's been great in Providence. He just shut out Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
Like, I think Z's great on the road. I think most of the times he's gotten pulled, maybe 3 times this year. I think all of them might have been at home. So, I mean, I think he's better on the road. So to me, it depends on is the series go 1 and 2 on the road, game 3 in Springfield, or does it go 1, 1, and 1? So like, I would go Ellis back to back, game 1 and game 2, and then hopefully you don't need a game 3. But if you do, do you go to Zarenko?
I don't know if you'd go to. Again, this isn't a slight to Z.
No.
This is to me a testament. If anything, you go Z game 1, Ellis game 2, game 3.
I don't hate that.
I think that's Z maybe hard. Game 1.
The season that Ellis has had, you can't. If you get a pivotal game 3, you can't go to Zarenko. I don't like that's not fair. Well, I mean, it's kind of not. I mean, Ellis has been the guy since November, and to say, yeah, well, okay, well, in the final game, like now we're gonna hook you for the other guy. Like
you can't. It's the psyche, right? You don't go into a game expecting to lose. But I think as fans, for the sake of this podcast, we could have this argument. If you lose a game and you have Ellis on the bench, you're playing the what if. Did we play our best? Did we put our best lineup out there? Did we give our team the best chance to win?
Mm-hmm.
If you lose with Ellis in net, you stomach that a little better and you say that we got beat by a better team. If you lose a series with Ellis on the bench, he can't be in a series deciding game. He's got to be win or go home. He's got to be your goaltender in the net. So I think if anything, you probably go Zarenko in game 1 to give Ellis the break, and then you go Ellis
2 and 3. I like that. I think that's let's stamp it. Let's get our SRG stamp of approval on that. Because a lot of people, I think fans in particular, you say, why would you start Zarenko game 1? Why wouldn't you go with the guy who got you there? Blah, 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 blah. But it's not about who starts the game. It's your starting pitcher has to be good. But if your closer is terrible, your 9th inning is going to be a hot mess. So yeah. And again, we mean this is no slight to Z.
Of course not.
Saying that because they are literally 1 and 1A.
Yeah.
Like I think they have the best goalie tandem heading into the playoffs, maybe besides Hershey. Providence, you could make the argument, but after that, I think it's us.
Well, I'm not sure with Hershey right now. I believe Shepard was called up.
Oh, really?
I think because Lindgren has been starting. I know he was in net for Ovechkin's game where he broke the goal scoring record. And I believe Hunter Shepard is called up. Now, I don't know the Capitals. I'm not following them. I don't know their injury reports. I don't know what the deal is, but so it might just be. I think who's their other goaltender, Clay Stevenson over there.
Yeah.
So
it might just be him. They might just give him the reins.
It just be riding him. And you can in the AHL come playoff time, you can ride one goalie. I mean, when we made our Calder Cup run, you had Lindgren was up with the Blues, and then the Blues lost, and they sent him back down. We were going Hofer every night to start the playoff, and then it was pretty much Lindgren for the second half of that run. You could go Ellis. I just, for the way this team is, I don't think Ellis is there yet. Maybe that's next year, not to get ahead of ourselves, but maybe that's like, this was still Ellis's first full year in the AHL. So I don't believe he's ever played AHL hockey either. I think Z was a backup for Hofer. It was a short stint in the playoffs that year. They got swept by the Wolfpack, but Z has been around for AHL playoff hockey. Ellis has not. So I don't quite think he's ready to stamp, hey, dude, you got every start, go. Until you tell me you're tired or you're hurt, go. I don't think he's there yet. So I think you have to anticipate Z being in the mix. So, I think you start game 1 Z and then go Ellis.
I'm a big goalie rotation guy. I think the days of Patrick Waugh and Dominic Hasek and Marty Brodeur just playing the entire playoffs, I think those games are over. I don't think there's a goalie who's had 60 starts in the NHL in a season in 15 years. So they said that you can't have a running mobile quarterback, and they said you need a starting pitcher to go 9 innings, and they said you needed, this, that, and the other thing across the world of sports. And in 2025, things have changed, right? Yeah. So, I think that if they went Ellis for 3 straight games, I'd be shocked. And just like starting Zarenko game 3, and again, it's fair. What's fair, Steve? I don't think it's fair to Zarenko to go Ellis. And I don't think it's fair to Ellis to give Zarenko game 3. So, yeah, I think that's why, Zarenko game 1, Ellis games 2 and 3. And again, if you get to game 2 and Ellis gets smoked and he gives up 7 goals, at least you have Zarenko there to bail you out. So it's exciting. It's exciting to have that, knock on wood, to have that portion of the roster in really good shape at this time of the year. So,
and if the playoffs were to start today, you're looking at Springfield is in 5th place right now. Excuse me. In essentially a tie with Lehigh Valley points wise. They both have 4 games remaining. You're looking at a Springfield and then Penguins kind of matchup here. So, I do think with the Penguins, if it were the Bruins, I would feel even, because to your point, Z has played Providence really, really well. So I think that would add a little bit more of, confidence or excitement around playing Z games 2, games 3. Against the Penguins, though, I could see a Z Ellis. I guess my long-winded way of answering, putting me on the spot originally, that's where I would end up.
Yeah. And, Wilkes-Barre and Providence are actually tied for points, and Wilkes-Barre has 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
So there's a very good chance that they could jump Providence, and now Providence is the 4 seed. But again, Z's played good in Providence. That's like one of the places he's played his best. So game 1 in Providence, you go Zarenko. I am not upset with that at all, knowing full well that Ellis is going to get his chance. So there you go. There's some goalie talk for everybody.
If you had put you on the spot now, who do you think this team matches up better with? You talked about, and let's get into this a little bit. You talked about Boston's not in the playoffs. They're going to be sending some guys down. So get into a little bit of that. And now who would you rather see as that first round matchup?
Yeah. So the interesting thing is Hershey, Charlotte, and Springfield all have parent clubs that are going to be in the playoffs. So they're going to be more likely to pull players off of their rosters. As you said, Clay Stevenson, they're going to be more likely to pull guys off the roster. Providence, Wilkes-Barre, Lehigh Valley, they're not making the Bruins, the Penguins, and the Flyers are not making the playoffs in the NHL. So right now, I would say they match up better with Providence. What happens when they're knocked out of the playoffs? When the Bruins in Boston is, and now, or when the season ends, I guess, because they ain't making it.
Yeah.
Now Ian Mitchell, Fabian Lysell, Vinny Lettieri, Connor Brown, Patrick Brown, right? Now they all just get dumped back into the Providence roster. Now you're talking about a whole different ball game. And not that they're the world beaters, but those are bodies that are better than what they're currently putting out there, right? So, and I feel like Providence signed like 4 guys out of college. So they got this other influx of young kids from Cornell and North Dakota State and all these other places. So I'm interested to see what those rosters look like. I think knowing that, I don't know. I just feel like they play Providence better. I feel like Wilkes-Barre games, I like don't ever remember.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't even remember that game against Wilkes-Barre, but usually that happens. The team doesn't play well. And then I just erase it from my memory by the time I drive home. So,
I think they've played Scranton fairly well this year. If I remember correctly, I think they lost in Scranton again. It was their teddy bear toss night. I think the Penguins came out gangbusters and scored a goal within the first minute and a half, 2 minutes. And then as the game settled in, it was a good game. They beat the Penguins at home. Their last game at home against the Penguins. So I think both teams play well, or they match up well against both teams. I'm more nervous about the Providence Bruins. I think their goaltending is a little bit more solid as a tandem, as a unit there. And again, sending all those guys down. Maybe it's just because, the Bruins are so close to us and we know a little bit more about those guys. I think that's kind of a crapshoot. How do they respond to that? Are they looking at this as like, oh, I got to, season's over. What am I just, I don't know. You got to be excited to play playoff hockey. So I don't think they're going to be sent down, these guys that you just mentioned, and have play with a negative chip on their shoulder. I think it gives them a little bit more to say, like, if anything, you're like, listen, I'm not going to be on the Bruins next year. I'm done with this parent club. So let me make my statement now. A Calder Cup run leads to, I'm making a number up, 25% of your roster getting a legitimate NHL shot. That Callie Rosen, Mackenzie McEachern, Dakota,
Joshua.
I'm trying to think of all these other guys from the Thunderbirds that year. Like that
Sam
gives
Anderson
you
was here. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And even Will Bitton to an extent, he got, after that Calder Cup run, he got his call up to the Blues that following year for a little bit. McGinn got his call up to the Blues a little bit after that. So I think a solid Calder Cup run gives that parent club, all right, let's give this guy a shot. So, I'm a bit nervous about that Providence matchup for that kind of reason. And I'm saying this under the assumption that we get Mackenzie McEachern back, we get Matt Luff back, and by playoff time, I don't know if how I feel about Dylan Peterson.
What do you mean? Just
coming back? I don't know. If I had to guess, I don't think he's ready for round 1 of the playoffs.
Fair.
So I'm going on the assumption, matchup wise, you have Mackenzie McEachern in the lineup, you have a Matt Luff in the lineup, and you have Dalibor Dvorsky in the lineup. I think I would actually like a matchup with Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
And the only thing I'll tell you about the Penguins, just going back to the goaltending and getting called up, Tristan Jarry's been up with Pittsburgh, but he seems like the perfect candidate to be sent down for a playoff run.
Yeah.
Interesting thing from him is what's his mindset, because he's probably tired of being in the AHL, and he's played years in the NHL, and he's sitting there going, I'm almost 30 years old and I'm still schlepping it down to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. So
yeah.
That's sort of what I'm going to keep my eye on the waiver wire is Tristan Jarry getting sent down for Wilkes-Barre, but obviously we'll keep our eye on that. And it's fun. It's a fun time of the year. The Thunderbirds, of the 6 teams in the division that are making the playoffs, they have the second fewest penalty minutes, which is good. I think that's something definitely to keep an eye on here as we go, because power plays and penalty kills in the playoffs are just massive. They're just massive. So while we have a minute, we'll let you know that the SRG podcast proudly brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing, their new location in Amherst on North Pleasant Street, and in downtown Springfield at Tower Square, 1500 Main Street, the place to go prior to Thunderbirds games. Parking in downtown Springfield is a little bit easier now. I believe that garage will actually be open. It's not done, but it is open.
It is open.
And you can't go in Bruce Landon Way. Yep. So you got to go in on whatever that is, Bowling Way. I think we already talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah.
Last week. Anyway, no matter where you park, doesn't matter. Head on over to White Lion. It's like literally right there. And for those of you who park at MGM, you're like, well, I don't want to walk further. It's literally the exact same distance, just in the opposite direction. And to be honest, it's more well lit, and there's less. I don't know. I don't want to put anybody down. There's less people. There's less. There's just less opportunities for something bad to happen. So that's where I go. I go to right into White Lion. They validate my parking for me. You can get yourself some Boomer Nachos, Seuss Mac and Cheese, Hall of Fame wings, along with any of the 20-plus beers that they have. And don't forget, you can find your favorite White Lion beer in your local liquor store cooler. White Lion Brewing now in Amherst and in downtown Springfield. Proud to support the SRG podcast. And again, that new garage ain't free, children. So you still got to pay to park there. So just a heads up. By our friends at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam. They are exactly what they sound, and it's a good time. Beers on tap, arcade machines, pool tables, darts. If you want to feel like a kid, this is your place to do it. If you want to bring your kids, that's the place to do it. It really does cover generations of fun over there that should be their new slogan, generations of fun. Yeah. I like that. We'll talk to Mike, my buddy Mike, the owner over there, see what he thinks about it. We'll make up some t-shirts, but seriously, go check them out. They're super nice, really nice people running a great business. Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam. And to our friends at Landscaping That Fits, 413-847-0338. I got to get sorry, Rob, I got to get out. He typed up all these reads for me, and I've just been winging it really since November. But I will get. I promise you, next week I'll start nailing down what you want me to nail down, because he does everything. He does so much stuff, from just regular weekly maintenance on your lawn, mowing, string trimming, cleaning up piles of stuff that you raked and you have no place to put it. If you couldn't rake it, he'll come and rake it. Irrigation, not irrigation. What's the thing where they pop the holes? Aeration. Thank you. Aeration. Yeah. Maybe I should get the script, Steve. Jeez. Aeration, fertilization. He does it all. So give him a call at Landscaping That Fits, 413-847-0338. Tell him that we sent you. Woof. Sorry. I got to get the scripts for that. All right. So where do you want? Do you want to go to fan rants, or you want to
do some fan rants?
Okay.
Let's do some fan rants.
I actually, while you're looking them up, just a couple more notes that I had here. This is just from the Lehigh Valley game. Second period, 8:07 left. T-Birds stuck in their own zone with a tired Bitten, Kessie, and Callan. Lehigh Valley is buzzing. Thunderbirds get gifted a terrible offside call. The puck never left the zone. T-Birds catch the break. Didn't use it to their advantage. Second period, 2:43 left. Thunderbirds should have got a power play. Pfizer got hammered after the play. No arms go up. So, again, calls going both ways, right? Taryn Pfizer, what a weekend for him. He truly was awesome. 8:59 in the third. Pekka's dripping blood on a high stick. Hope the hockey gods are watching this one. Oh, my God, they called a high stick 30 seconds later on the Thunderbirds. Just the hockey gods weren't with them there. 4:20 left. Brutal turnover by Addison, and Lehigh Valley hit the post. Can't happen in the playoffs. So I think when people complain about the refs, they forget that sometimes you get calls too. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes the Thunderbirds, they get their own fair share of calls too. So definitely not the sharpest game from Bo Halkitis, but I will say the 3 games since Wednesday, 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 17 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I don't know why the home games always end up going 2 hours and 35 minutes, but the 20 minutes is big when you got to go home and you got stuff to do.
Well, what helps the game time is when the Thunderbirds don't shoot and the goalie doesn't have to cover the puck. What was that Utica game? Was it like 8 shots in the first 2 periods? I mean, that was, but let's not forget, like, all that considering they were in that game until the 2 empty netters. But if you don't shoot the puck, guys, and I don't know. Nothing new there. Let's get into some fan rants, I guess.
Yeah. So the one that I really liked, and now it's all the way on the bottom. This is sort of what we left off the show with. Nick Fazio says, in a way, it's too bad Hartford didn't push the T-Birds a little more this past week, so the T-Birds needed to clinch the playoff spot themselves next weekend. T-Birds are going to have 2 weeks of games that are more or less meaningless, with being virtually locked into a road mini-round series. Interested to see how the team approaching tries to balance resting and health and getting ready for the intensity of a best-of-3 series following 2 weeks of games without much standings impact. I completely agree with him. I didn't even really think about that until you mentioned it, Nick. So great point to bring up. What is the strategy to stay fresh, stay healthy, stay playoff ready when I mean, there's really not a ton to play for. And you're playing, I know the end of the year too at Charlotte. Those are not going to be, neither team has anything that they need in that game. You're playing Belleville. Where is Belleville? I got the standings right here. Belleville is second to last in their division, so they're out. And then the Penguins. So really that game Saturday, April 12th at Wilkes-Barre, I think is going to be awesome, because if the standings stay the way they are, that's going to be your first round matchup. That's going to be one game. So if out of the 4 games you get one that has serious playoff atmosphere, that's going to help. But that might be the only one.
I think at the end of the day, he's right. And Lola also commented in the fan rants about this same kind of stuff. How do we think the team will handle the roster and playing time and all that? I agree. Not much can change in the standings, but I do think, again, when we were as hot can be, February and March, we said there's not one team that wants to play this team. There's not one team who's excited to see a matchup against the Thunderbirds. They lost a little bit of that. And I think the players know this. They want to be playing as sharp as they possibly can be. So although there might not be much in the standings to play for, I think the other stuff is what you're playing for. I do think you have to find a way to balance the playing time, the health. But at the end of the day, I think if you go in there and you beat down or just win, beat the Penguins, that does put a little seed of doubt. How could it not? I know you got to next game up, and the goaltenders talk about this all the time. When a puck gets let in, I got to make the next save. But if you go into Scranton Wilkes-Barre and you win, if it doesn't put doubt in the other team, it gives you confidence yourself.
Right.
2 against Charlotte, again, it gives you confidence. You're just feeling better about yourself after a win. So I get it. And I agree. Like it would have been nice for them to have to win it on their own and have another weekend where they actually have to win it. But I think they understand and they recognize, just because we might not gain or lose anything in the standings, we want to be going into the playoff feeling as good as we possibly can about this team. And now is when you can start to talk about those moral victories, those wins in losses. Because if you get a Taryn Pfizer, if you lose a game 4-2, 4-3, but you get a Taryn Pfizer get hot, you get a Dickinson to get hot, Nikki gets hot again, Kaskamaki gets right. Those are the little things that can carry you into a playoff series. So I think that's kind of what you're playing for.
I mean, and I don't mean to rain on the parade, Nick and Lola, but realistically, you are, it's a far shot. Sure. You're 8 points back of Wilkes-Barre and Providence. Providence just lost Fraser Minton. Minton just got called up. He's the guy who dropped the hat trick against the Thunderbirds last time they played. If they go 0-4 and you go 4-0, you're hosting a game.
Yeah.
So you're Wilkes-Barre's. They both have 82 points, Providence and Wilkes-Barre. If the Thunderbirds go 4-0, there's a very good chance they could be really, really close to that 5 or to that 4 seed. Probably not the 3. I don't think both teams are going to go 0-4, 0-6 the rest of the way. But that's all it takes is you go 4-0, they go 0-4. You got you're hosting a home game. So that's what I'd be playing for. And I don't expect. There are certain sports where you can mail it in. Like what I saw from the Buffalo Bills in the last game of the season against the Patriots, literally just go ahead, go score a touchdown. We don't care. I don't think you can do that in hockey. Like I don't think, especially 2 playoff teams. Mm-hmm. Like neither team wants to just go in there and go out for a nightly skate for 60 minutes. Like they're not going to want to do that. Mm-hmm. Just out of their own human nature. And I do think you're going to end up with at least 1, if not 2, good playoff feeling vibey games in those last 2 against Charlotte. So if anything, the other team, if you're not up to play, the other team's going to push you to play better.
Agreed.
And right. And not give it 75%, give it 100. So that's sort of what I'm looking for is who's ready to play, who wants to play, who wants to give it their all.
you're still playing playoff hockey, because you're right. Could you have host a playoff game again? Like, going back to, do you really want to lose a game with Ellis sitting on your bench saying like, coulda, shoulda, woulda? Do you really want to be heading into a playoff and lose in game 3 on the road and have a thought of, man, if we just went for it those last 4 games and won one of those 4 games, we could have had a home playoff game? Like, they are going to try to win every game. I do think, and again, it is a balance to stay healthy. This team is banged up. So do you give your third and fourth line guys a little bit more minutes? Sure. And I think that's probably the most realistic change that you'll see. Maybe a slight cutback on Pekka's minutes, a slight cutback on Nikita's minutes, McGing's minutes. Everybody else, I think, needs to be going full steam ahead.
Well, and the other thing too is it's not even like you can rest these guys. Like, I'd love to give Pekka a night off, McGing a night off, Alexandrov. You can't, because you don't have enough healthy bodies.
Yeah, no.
Like, you don't have anybody else. Like, you're
playing Addison first line center.
You're right. You're playing defensemen as forwards. Like, you can't. It's not like guys are sitting up on the 9th floor waiting to play. Like, you're tapped out. Like, you have one more injury, you're going back to the ECHL pool to get a guy. So if they're fully healthy, you want to give Pekka a night off. Great. Like you said, Matt, the only way you can do it is to scale back minutes, which I would anticipate them doing. But unless they get somebody back healthy, you got to play Pekka, because you got nothing else. Like, you got no. Whereas Charlotte, I don't know specifically, but Charlotte's a team that, we talk about mailing it in. That's how you do it. You just take your 3 or 4 best players and you shelve them.
Yeah.
But these 4 new kids that are playing are going to be playing their rear end.
They're going to play as hard as they can.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it'd be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
Yep. Daniel says, and I like this one. Well, they are not on a streak. It's tough to succeed in the playoffs when the team is going from a bonfire to a pile of glowing wood. The playoffs might be the beginning of a new hot streak. Who knows? Going to the playoffs, you think, is the team's strength at this current time. We all know the shot totals have been broken record this season, and this will be the team's definitive weakness going into the playoffs. So I like this one. I think we both would agree that's their weakness. What's their strength in your opinion?
Well, I think the strength comes from the weakness, because I've been flipping out about shots since October, and it seems to me the more shots that they get against them, the better Ellis and Zarenko are. I mean, Zarenko was exceptional the other night. 40 shots, stopped them all. Yeah. So if the goalies are the strength, like, that's not even close. It's the goaltending. Both of those guys. When it seems like when they only give up 26 shots, they lose. So it's like, all right, I'm fine. If this is how it's going to be, then just shoot all day and just let our goalies keep stopping them. Will that dam eventually break, Daniel? That's my biggest fear. I mean, that's been my biggest. You can't do this in the playoffs. Can't do this in the playoffs. They're doing it now, and they're still winning games. So
yeah,
Dominik Hasek loved getting the more shots, the better. Maybe some of these guys are just wired differently, and they say, just keep feeding me the puck, So
keep them active, keep them engaged.
That was the one thing I was looking at the Utica game. I was like, when they do finally get a shot on, that Utica goalie better be ready, because like, he's been sitting down there getting cold, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's goaltending, and I think that they're not afraid to face 40 shots a night. They've now proven that they can stop 40 shots a night.
There you go. I agree. I'll add something just to be a little different. I think their mindset, their mental toughness is a strength that this team has. I think we've talked about it. Sometimes you want them to turn it up a notch to match the other team's intensity. But as a whole, I think this team plays even keel, and they play to their level of intensity that they're comfortable playing. They don't get too hot. They don't get too low. And so I think that could be a strength come playoff time, where you need to, everything is amplified, and every penalty kill is that much tighter. Every power play is that much more important. You talked about this at the beginning of the year, the timeliness of a power play. In playoff hockey, every power play is timely, whether it's in the first 5 minutes of the first period or the last 2 minutes of the third period. Every power play is timely in the playoffs. So I think having a team that's been battle tested, that has been through the ups and downs, the peaks and the valleys, and has stayed pretty even keel, thanks to leadership, Pekka, McEachern, Schoenemann, McGing, I think that is a strength as well as their goaltending.
Experience. I mean, how many of those guys were here when they went on the run? You know, like I know McGing, Alexandrov, McKecker, and Pekka. You know, like there's at least 4 or 5. I mean, that might be it, but there's at least a handful of guys that have been here before to make that run. So, going to combine a couple of these. Ryan Shaw says, A stepped up huge. I'm not sure.
Z. Probably meant Z.
Okay, probably meant Z. Okay, I don't know if he meant the guys with the A on their shirts. This is the play we've needed all season. Sucks to see Peterson get injured again. Seems like the forwards can't catch a break. With the injuries, a fully healthy team, I think they can make a really good playoff run. Karen Roy says, hopefully some important key players return before then. I hate to play that card, but yeah, if they are fully healthy, I think they have one of the best rosters top to bottom in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think you add the bodies that are missing into the lineup and you take out, you know, the Kessies and Andonovsky. It'd be Andonovsky and Pfizer, guys who've been playing well.
Callan,
right? Like, he was here, by the way, in that when I went that run.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
But yeah, you line those guys up, I'd put them up against anybody in the league. Problem is, this isn't the video game where you can turn injuries off. So you gotta you just
the war of attrition.
And you know, I think this is cool because I think maybe somebody is going to, maybe it's a Taryn Pfizer, maybe it's a Kaskamaki, maybe it's a Tanner Dickinson. Somebody at some point, we are going to be sitting here saying, boy, we needed that guy to step up, and he stepped up, right? Like, that conversation's probably going to be had, and it's not going to be Pekka. It could be, but what I'm saying is it could very well be one of these other guys stepping up that would normally not even be in the roster if everybody was healthy. So I'm curious to see how that works out.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, like, I think if Pekka in a 3-game playoff series has 4 goals, you kind of like, he didn't step up. That's what Pekka does. Right. So I think, at least is how I took that, is like, you're looking for a Stenberg to have multiple goals or a multiple goal night, or, you know, just dominate 2-way, 200-foot game kind of thing. Those are the guys that you're looking to kind of step up and play. So I just real quick, Terriana, highlights, and this is what I want to talk about. They played an awesome game Saturday, very competitive. Happy Addison got the winning goal. Could this be the exact confidence booster that he needed? And, you know, she gives credit to both goaltenders. And I just want to talk about, we've been critical of Caden Addison's play. He did have a costly turnover in that game. If I'm thinking of the same one you mentioned, I think there were like 3 defensive zone turnovers in successsion there, and then that sequence. Yeah. So, you know, he's not the only one, but we've been critical of his play. You know, his last few games that he's played, he hasn't damaged his plus minus, because I think he was actually like a net 0 his last few games, and then he gets the game winning goal. So you're right. You know, a new guy, think of a new kid to the school. You're waiting for that moment to make a name for yourself. So people come up to you and say hi. These are professional hockey players. This is not their first time in a new locker room, not their first time, you know, being in a locker room with a new guy, but you never know how that dynamic goes. And is it something like this that finally gives the guys, you know, whether it just be banter or poking fun of, or just, you know, joking, who knows how this fits into the dynamic of the locker room for him. But I can't imagine it's anything but good. So, and that was brilliant shot. Great play by Dvorsky. He super patient, letting both those defenders, you know, draw both of them into the circle area where he was, and then leaves a nice pass, and Addison puts it right glove side, and beautiful shot.
Sure was. I didn't even realize, my fault on this, I didn't even realize Addison was scratched the first 2 games.
Yeah.
He was scratched Wednesday and Friday. So I was like, boy, he didn't do much in those first 2 games. Yes, because he didn't play. So who knows? Maybe that's all he needed. Maybe it was better to take a look upstairs and look at what they're running and get a better feel for it. So Last one for me, Katrina. By the way, no Lynn this week. I must have upset Lynn. Where you at, Lynn? Come on, get in here. Thought the game was crazy because it went 0-0 till they got to overtime. I love nothing games. I think my favorite game of all time, 2011 Bruins Cup run against Tampa, nothing going into overtime, 0 penalties. If you ask me to watch a 0-0 soccer game, I'd rather watch paint dry. But there's something about a 0-0 hockey game that's good hockey. Like I thought that game was excellent. Congratulations to Katrina. They came in second place in the sled hockey. Sunday she got an assist. Saturday they played a team that was I guess much better than them and they lost 8-0. But whatever, she got an assist. And they came in second place. So congratulations to Katrina and the sled hockey.
Well
team.
done, Katrina, and your sled hockey team. Congratulations. And that you read what would have been my last fan rant. I wanted to read that one. If you, that does it for us for the fan rants. Awesome. Stay tuned, fan rants. I'm not sure, Steve. Let's discuss it on air. If we maybe do it in 2 weeks or wait till the playoffs conclude, but we will be bringing back the SRG Awards and be looking for your fan votes as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll have to figure out whether or not we want to do that pre-playoffs, maybe heading into our playoff show, our playoff breakdown of a series and do our SRG Awards, or wait till the season completely concludes there. But fans, be on the lookout for that. You've been great with these fan rants.
Yeah. No, it's our first season with playoff hockey. Last year, we knew right when to do it.
I know. Yeah, I know. We knew the season was going to end, and we were running out of positive things to say. So let's do the SRG Awards. And now we're playoff hockey, excited, good things to talk about, but still want to do the SRG Awards. And fans, we still want you to be a part of sort of that voting. So stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout for that on our socials, and we'll give you information on that when we're ready.
And also on that, while we're doing some house cleaning and PSAs, I don't know what the schedule is going to look like. I feel like it's going to be more condensed schedules. And obviously Matt and I try to record Monday, release Wednesday. If the playoff schedule is kind of funky, maybe we'll switch up our release date. I like to try to keep release dates consistent for you, the fans. You guys know Wednesday, new episodes coming out. Like hopefully you're setting your alarm in the morning. Yay. I don't know. So we'll talk about that too as we go. If they're not playing, if they're playing Monday night, we're not going to record Monday night. We might wait till Tuesday, which we release. We'll figure it out. But just bear with us because this is the first time we've had the pod in the playoffs.
We'll do our best to.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll do our best to release it before that opening round. I'm sure. The teams will have a week prior to the season ending, the regular season ending, to shore up their travel plans and whatnot. And they've got to give the teams probably a week before they start playoff schedules. So we'll do our best to try to get our post-season rundown before the games start, but we'll keep you posted.
So as we look ahead, Friday, April 11th, again, I'm not like, I don't know. My expectations have not changed game in and game out since they made the playoffs. Belleville second to last place. You better beat them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you better beat them. I mean, like you beat them. They are not as good as you. I don't care how banged up you are. Beat them. You're on home ice. Beat them. Plus it's the day after my birthday. So don't make me cranky on my birthday weekend. Beat them. Follow that up Saturday night. Well, just so you know, MGM Deuces Wild Friday for that Belleville game. $2 domestic drafts, $2 glizzies and sodas. Pregame concert series featuring the Fazio Boys. Saturday, they are at Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Again, we talked about that. By the way, that's a 6:05 start. I love the 6:05 starts on a Saturday. I'm sure a lot of parents out there with young ones like we are would say the same thing. Or if you work the game and you don't want to get home at 10 o'clock at night every night. I love a 6:05 start. So just keep an eye on that for the game Saturday, April 12th against Wilkes-Barre. And then the season ends up Friday and Saturday, the 18th and 19th, both at home against Charlotte. So 3 home games left, which is great. But my expectations for the weekend are beat Belleville. Yeah. Beat Belleville and make the Wilkes-Barre game as playoff possible as you can.
Tune up, right?
See what it looks like. Yeah.
100%. I'm with you. Beat Belleville, like done. Like that shouldn't be much of a conversation. That shouldn't be much of a debate there. Beat Belleville and then tune up for playoff hockey. You're playing playoff hockey. You are playing playoff teams. This is raise the intensity. Fans, bring the intensity. Like,
yes,
get the Thunderdome as close to what it's going to sound like come playoff time as you possibly can, and bring the boys with you. So I'm expecting it's not, and I think this is what you're alluding to. It's not about the wins and losses. It's about get tuned up and get ready to play playoff hockey and bring it. And if that means you lose in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre 3-2, and you played a solid game, like, okay, circle what we need to work on, because we're going to see this team soon. Same thing when you play Charlotte. So task 1, beat Belleville.
Yes. No doubt about it. It's funny. I was just looking it up because I checked the roster. It's like, how's our old buddy Jamison Reese doing? 13 points in 36 games and a -6. So don't have to worry too much about him.
Yeah.
Matthew Highmore, 10 points in 23 games. He might be up. He might be spending a lot of time up with the big club. But some old faces. Malcolm's listed on the roster. Subban. Sam Gagnier, Matthew Highmore. So there's guys there. Beat him. I don't care. I beat him. Kean Washbrook is there. 17 points in 65 games. So beat this team. And then we'll talk about that, and we'll bring up the Charlotte games next week show before those games happen. So I don't know. I don't have anything much left other than, Matt, to thank our sponsors at White Lion Brewing in Amherst and in downtown Springfield, by our friends at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam, and by Landscaping That Fits, 413-847-0338. And this was good. This was quick.
This was
full of energy and positivity, just what we need heading into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Fans, thank you for the support. Thanks for the likes and subscriptions and the follows, the fan rants. Be on the lookout for our SRG awards. Be ready for the playoff bound Springfield Thunderbirds. All Thunder. What is it? All Thunder? No. I should have looked that up. I blew it.
No thunder.
Oh my gosh.
All Thunder.
All
no
thunder,
mercy.
No surrender. No surrender. Oh my gosh. I blew it, folks. All Thunder. No surrender. Let's go, T-Birds.